Hey guys, just quickly before the video starts, my requests are open, please like and subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. You had been sitting in the Slytherin common room with your friends when Draco and his friends had walked in. They had immediately stared at you, which confused you, but you had ignored it, knowing what Draco was like. You and him had never had any issues per se, but you had seen the way he was with others, so you usually just stayed away from him and minded your own business. That was until he had walked up to you, his friends not following. "Listener, can I speak to you?" he said with his usual cocky tone. However, he did seem slightly nervous. You weren't doing anything interesting and you were curious, so you had agreed. He had taken you to his dorm, which did confuse you a little about what he could have to say that was so private. He just stood there in silence for a second. "So," he said, as you were impatient and didn't really want to stand there awkwardly, "would you want to go on a date with me?" he said, rushing it. You were thrown off. "What? Why? Is this a joke?" You said, guarded, mainly because you felt like it came out of nowhere, and even though he hadn't said a lot to you, you started to feel slightly overwhelmed. "No, it's not a joke." No, yes? Just let me think about it, okay?" you said, a little indecisive at this point. Surprisingly, he just nodded and was okay with it. "Of course, as long as you need, just let me know." Time skipped to a few days later. You had finally made up your mind, so you had went up to him in the common room whilst he was hanging out with his friends, like usual. "Hey Draco, can I talk to you quick?" He had agreed and followed you out of the common room, into a quiet area where no one was. "I've decided." He seems interested at this, almost as if he wasn't actually expecting you to give an actual answer. "Yeah, I'll go on a date with you." You see him give you his usual cocky expression, and you almost rolled your eyes at that. "Don't. One date. That's it." The look on his face shows he doesn't believe that, and he decided it wasn't something to argue with him over. "So anyways, what's the plan then?" you asked, curious on what he was actually planning. "That's a surprise. Just meet me at the entrance of the school. Friday, at 6. You in all honesty didn't trust him that much, but you had agreed, cautiously, to do so. Time skipped to that Friday. You had gone to the spot you both had agreed to meet, not expecting much. You saw Draco already standing there in a suit, which did kind of shock you, because you didn't expect him to actually dress up for this, as he didn't seem the type to put effort into his appearance. So you thought maybe this wasn't going to be that bad after all. "Listener, you look pretty," he says, very clearly trying to be on his best behaviour. "Thank you," you said genuinely, but still a little cautious around his motivations. I mean, this is Draco. When has he ever done anything for a nice reason? You and Draco started to walk in pure silence at first, till he finally spoke up. "So how was your week?" You had started to tell him about what had happened, purely to cover the silence. When you look at him, you can see a genuine interest in the topic, so you keep telling him. Time skipped when you get to the place. You see the restaurant is definitely the type of place you'd expect for Draco. The place looked pretty high-end, but again, it was Draco, so that part not as much as a shock as the fact he took you there as a first date. So you both got seated during the dinner, and he was actually really sweet, which was nice to see. And even if you'd never tell him, you could definitely tell there was some kind of connection between you two. Time skipped to after dinner, and him paying, you both walk out, and you had thought that was probably the end of the date, so you just started to walk towards the castle. But he quickly stopped you by gently taking your hand. "Listener, before we go to the back of the castle, can we go on a walk?" You could see on his face he looked pretty nervous, but considering the date was going well, you had agreed to this too. He had kept his hand holding yours as you both walked through Hogsmeade. The city lit up as the sun had now set, creating a romantic atmosphere. He had suddenly stopped in front of you, stopping your footsteps. Listener, he was very clearly struggling to find the words. "I like you, listener," he said, gently putting his hand on your cheek. Like you." This froze you a little. "I like you too."